Welcome into Duval Daily, presented by GenJag.com. I'm Jordan DeLugo. Thank you so much for tuning in here on Wednesday, December 6th. The Jaguars had a truly devastating Monday. Obviously, the loss on Monday Night Football, they fell in overtime. They had myriad opportunities and chances to win that football game. They were not able to. But even worse, they sustained several injuries to key players. Christian Kirk likely done for the year with the core muscle injury that's going to require surgery. He's not going to be able to come back unless the Jaguars make a really deep run into the playoffs, possibly the Super Bowl. Trevor Lawrence with the high ankle sprain, he's going to be questionable day-to-day. Walker Little, hamstring day-to-day. Tyson Campbell, day-to-day with the quad. Foley Fatukasi, day-to-day with the heel. There's a lot going on the injury front now for the Jacksonville Jaguars. But the question is, can the Jaguars bounce back and right the ship after an embarrassing loss on Monday Night Football, heading into this stretch run, 5 games left, heading into the playoffs potentially? Look, I know it's been a lot of doom and gloom around here lately, but I have news for you. The sun is still shining in Duval County. Trevor Lawrence will be back, and the Jaguars, they still play football this Sunday in Cleveland against the Browns. So now the playoffs, they are not a lock necessarily or a guarantee for the Jaguars. They just are one game up in the AFC South, and who knows how the wild card situation will play out in the AFC. But the Jaguars, they are still atop the division. They have 5 games left to get healthy and get things right on all 3 phases of the ball: offense, defense, and special teams. It is too early to know who will be up for this weekend for the Browns game. That is a tough one. The Browns are a tough football team. They've lost 2 straight games. They have a talented, well-coached defense. They have a tough offensive line, skill position talent. It's going to be nasty weather potentially in Cleveland. So that's going to be a difficult one to predict, to say the Jaguars are going to go up there and win that game, especially if Trevor Lawrence is unavailable. But we'll see how that plays out, obviously. But if the Jaguars defense shows up like they have for 10 out of the last 12 games this year, they will have a chance down the stretch. Now, if the Jags defense plays the way they did Monday night against the Cincinnati Bengals, for the next 5 games, they're going to be in big trouble. They are going to be in big trouble. But I do believe the Jaguars defense will bounce back. I do believe that game was a one-off because, again, in 10 out of 12 games this year, they have played winning football on that side of the ball. Maybe 9 out of 12 games this year, right? They've been pretty damn good on the defensive side of the ball, the Jaguars have. I think that they're too talented and too well coached to not play better on the defensive side of the ball. Plain and simple. I really do believe that. I think they have great coaching, or at least very good coaching. I think they have very good talent, and I think that they have a scheme that's cohesive that makes sense with the players that they have. They've got to rebound, though. There's no doubt about that. And I honestly do doubt. I mean, I know high ankle sprain. Some people say, 3 weeks, maybe a month. Trevor Lawrence, I don't know what he's made out of, but this guy does not miss games, and he prides himself on not missing games. I'm not sure that he's going to play this weekend in Cleveland. It looked really rough out there with the ankle sprain, with Walker Little stepping on the ankle, inside of the ankle. But Trevor Lawrence, he's trying to play against the Browns. He's going to be doing everything he can to be out there with the Jaguars, with the rest of his team on Sunday, against the Cleveland Browns. We'll see how it goes. But I would doubt that he misses more than a week, quite frankly, with the way Trevor Lawrence comes back from injury, with the way he battles back. And the Jaguars, they host the Ravens next week in a game that, if they take care of business against the Browns, that could be for the top of the AFC. Again, like the Jaguars, they lost an embarrassing game against the Bengals, but they are in no way out of it here, right? They are still 1 game back in the AFC. They are still atop their division. So everything's still on the table for the Jaguars. After the road game against the Browns and then the home game against the Ravens Sunday Night Football, the schedule does soften. Tampa on the road. Tampa is not a great football team, obviously. They can be tough. They have talent throughout the roster. But that's a game the Jaguars should be able to win if Trevor Lawrence is available and healthy. And the Jaguars, they are undefeated on the road this year. They are much better away from Jacksonville than they are at home for whatever reason. Then you have Carolina at home. That's a team that I don't care where you're playing. You've got to beat the Panthers if you're the Jaguars. And then Tennessee on the road, another team that is not playing great football. So the Jaguars, they play 3 out of their last 5 games on the road. And again, they have been much better on the road this year. That could be favorable for them. I honestly still expect this team to win 11 or 12 games. I really do. When you look at the schedule, I think that if they beat Cleveland, they're probably going to win 12 games. If they lose to Cleveland, maybe you look at 11. We'll see how it plays out. But the Jaguars only have to win 3 out of 5 to get to 11 wins. I think that they're going to still be able to win their division and to make the playoffs and host a home playoff game. Whether or not you want them to host a home playoff game is an entirely different story at this point with the way they've been playing in Jacksonville. But yeah, I do think the Jaguars can right the ship, and I think that they will. They have to figure out how to run the ball more consistently if they want to win in the playoffs, in my opinion. They have to get Trevor Lawrence healthy and back on the football field. And they have to play more physical and more urgent and more confident and smarter on defense than they did on Monday night. We've talked about it. That was atrocious. That was not Jaguars football. They weren't tackling. They weren't prepared. They weren't looking good in coverage. And this doesn't apply to every player that was out there, but a vast majority of the players on that defense had one of the worst games of their season. Some of them had the worst game of their career, quite frankly. I think that the Jaguars will bounce back on defense. I think that they will get Trevor Lawrence back. Will the running game get going the way they want it to? I'm not sure. But I think that they've been doing it this season and having an 8-4 record despite not having a consistent running game up the middle. So I think that they'll be able to do 2 out of those 3 things. And I think that they're going to sit there being 11-6 or 12-5 heading into the playoffs and feeling pretty good about their chances to go make some noise. I think that that's how it's going to end up playing out. So yeah, I do think the Jaguars can bounce back. I think they will bounce back, but they've got to do it. They've got to go look themselves in the mirror, gut check on the defensive side of the ball. Obviously, the offense played very well against the Cincinnati Bengals. You hate losing Christian Kirk. That's the one thing that is really tough because he's probably not going to be back, at least not in the regular season. Maybe deep into the playoffs, but not in the regular season for Christian Kirk. So how do you overcome that? I think obviously you spread the football around more to the rest of the guys, but Parker Washington, he's going to have to come in as a rookie and step up and play some slot for the Jaguars. And I do think he can do some things for you. He's a guy I was very high on. We've talked about it here on this channel. I had a 3rd-round grade on Parker Washington, and that was without 40 testing, without the athletic testing. That was without him being able to go to the combine and show out, without him being able to go to the Senior Bowl. I still had that much confidence in his tape. And the reason I have that much confidence is because he's a very good route runner. He brings toughness to the field. He has extremely strong hands, and he's a smart football player. I think that he will be able to do some things for you in the slot. Is he going to be Christian Kirk, who's a veteran, who's Trevor Lawrence's most trusted weapon? No. But he can do some things for you. He can come in and try to pick up the slack a little bit while you target Calvin Ridley more, while you target Evan Ingram more, and some of your other guys, Zay Jones as well. So I think the Jaguars can bounce back. I think they will bounce back. They are going to miss Christian Kirk, but this is still a playoff football team. The sky is not falling in Duval County. Really appreciate y'all tuning in. If you enjoyed the content, please like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Also check out genjag.com/shop. Pick up some new Duval gear. Just dropped a new Duval Skyline hat over there. Check it out. Y'all have a good one.